Mishpachah. Got a couple of words I want to share with the listening ears of Yah's people. And I'm going to call this one, The Origin of Evil Spirits, Their Nature, and Their Mission. But before I get off into reading scriptures, before I get off into the message, I want y'all to hear some of this song right here called Jump by Lorvins. I usually play the slow songs, but it's kind of up-tempo here. We gon' jump. We gon' jump. And shake those hands up. Yeah, we gon' jump. We gon' jump. I see you over there, said I. Look like you're about to cry with your story. Don't be holding back your tears, don't be phony. People walking right past by you. See you like we did in the bayou. Praise God for the new day. Cause you wasn't taken out the way. Old man gone away. Let the new man manifest today. Say it again. Old man gone away. Let the new man manifest. We gon' jump. We gon' jump. And ain't shit, throw my hands up. Yeah, we gon' jump. We gon' jump. Jump in. Jump in. Jump in. Noops up in. We used to catch a stone to the face. Man, those are the breaks. For Zion. We gon' jump. We gon' jump. And I ain't ashamed to throw my hands up. Yeah, we gon' jump. We gon' jump. Feel on up. Get on up. Feel on up. Tony Frank up. Hold on. Whistle act right. L telling people who we act like. We gon' jump. And ain't ashamed to throw my hands up. Yeah, we gon' jump. We gon' jump. That's enough, Mr. Paka. Okay. Now, before I start reading scriptures, I just want to say this, that somebody asked me if I would just go ahead and do a whole video on these spirits. And at first I was going to think, I think I told the person no, but I gave him some thought and I decided to go ahead and do it because, you know, I have many newer subscribers and many people who are new who watch my videos who have never seen me speak on these things in the book of Enoch pertaining to these spirits, these evil spirits, and where they come from, their origin and their mission and their destination. Okay, so in no way, shape, form, or fashion, Mr. McCall, am I trying to bring fear in anybody? No, we're only supposed to have reverence and fear for our Father Yah because he has all power in heaven and in earth. He has power over all spirits. He is the Adonai of spirits. They serve him. Okay? Now, these evil spirits, they came about as a result of the watcher angels. It was 200 of them. They were supposed to have been watching over mankind to protect mankind. That was their mission. But Yah only gave them a certain amount of knowledge because he knew eventually, before he even created them, what they were going to do. So anyhow, like the book of Genesis says, chapter 6, that the sons of Elohim looked upon the daughters of men and saw that they were fair. Okay, and they took from them and chose wives for themselves, but those marriages were not recognized by Yah. So their offspring became the Nephilim. Giants are referred to as bastards. Okay, but anyhow, those watcher angels, they weren't supposed to mingle in with mankind by marrying and having sex with women, but they chose to, and that's what they did. Okay, and so for the people who don't know about these things, many of my subscribers and viewers already know about this stuff. Many of you guys already have your book of Enoch and you have already read this stuff, but for the sake of the people who aren't aware of these evil spirits and their nature and where they come from, okay, but anybody's welcome to tune in, okay? But I just want to say, before I start reading, Ms. Bakar, that I had dreams and nightmares when I was a child. You know, when I was real little, used to see stuff. Tiger woke me up out of a dream, scared the daylights out of me. I was about 5 years old. I wasn't even in kindergarten yet. I had another experience when I was laying in my bed. I must have been about like 5 years old before I was even in school yet. I was laying in the bed, a hand was in the window, you know, just a single hand. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, I couldn't cry, I couldn't yell out, but I was afraid, but I just couldn't, I was paralyzed. And then all of a sudden the hand, you know, I was able to move and the hand was gone. So I had these experiences throughout my life, elementary school. You know, not all the time, but every now and then I would see stuff. So, and then I became an adult and I started seeing stuff when I was awake. You know, it wasn't just dreams and nightmares. I started seeing stuff when I was awake. And I mentioned before in a video that I just got a loan to go to cosmetology school. And since I was only 20 years old, I needed my mom to go with me to the school to get the loan. And when we left, we went to the bank and I cashed it. I think I bought her some roses and something else. And then her and I and my sister, one of my sisters, my sister Barbara, we went over some friends' house and just spent a little time with them and stuff. I had been trying to find my brothers, Terry and William, you know, and because back then we used to drink together and I couldn't find them. So I hung out with my mom and one of my sisters. And then eventually after we left our friends' house, their friends, you know, my mom then brought me back. We came back to Mama's house and I wasn't living with her, but my room was still open. And when I go upstairs, it was just beginning to be nighttime. And my brother Terry and William, they were there. My brother Nathaniel, he's out for the church and stuff. He was about, he's 18. He was in the service. When he graduated from high school, he went to the service. So he could have been in the service then. He might not have been in there just yet because I started in cosmetology school in June of 1984. And so schools let out in June, public schools. So he wasn't in the service yet. He was still in high school, a senior. So anyway, I gave my brother Terry and William some money to go get something to drink down the street, just a block. Normally I just go with him. But for some reason, I didn't go with him. And so when they left out the room, all of a sudden it was pitch black and I didn't know where I was. And then I saw it was three of them. It was three spirits that was really ugly, standing right in front of me, doing stuff like this. And it was coming closer and closer, really slow. And I'm asking them questions. I was like, who are y'all? Where y'all come from? Looking at them like this, waiting on them to say something. I could see them just as clear as I could see any human being. They was standing right, about my height, about 6'1", and it was like Tommy like this, you know. And then they wouldn't answer my questions when I asked them, who are y'all, where y'all come from? And I didn't even know where I was at the time. I knew my name, I knew who I was, but I didn't know where I was all of a sudden, and I didn't know who they were. And they was coming at me really slow, doing stuff like this. And I said to myself, I realized my back was against the wall, and I was trying to feel on the wall for a doorknob so I can get out of there. And then I couldn't find no doorknob, so I waited till in my mind I said, okay, when they get real close to one in the middle, I'm gonna grab them in the collar and it's gonna be on. So when they got real close and I can grab them, touch them, I did like this, and my hands went right through them. And that's when I was like, whoa, whoa. Then I started saying the Adonai's prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. I taught myself the Adonai's prayer when I was 19 years old. Like I said, when I was a teenager, I used to study his word, and I taught myself how to say his prayer, but they were still there. They hadn't gone anywhere. And I'm like, whoa, man. So I'm like, I can't touch them, but I can see them. And then all of a sudden the light came on, and I looked around. I was in my brother Terry's closet. And him and I saw through the crack, him and my brother William came behind him into the bedroom. And I broke out of the closet, and they looking at me like this, like with bewilderment, like they didn't say it, but it was like they had to look like, what you doing coming out the closet in the dark? And my brother Terry was in the front, so I grabbed him just to feel some flesh and blood. I was like, man. They said, what happened? And I explained to them what I had just said to you guys. And they said, man, we try to tell you, bruh, you need to slow down, because I was wild. They wasn't nothing like me. We grew up together, but they was nothing like me. When our mother got us out the foster home and gave us all that freedom, that's when I turned buck wild, when I got about 15 years old. Started hanging out with dudes that dropped out of school and stuff like that. But my brothers, their friends was dudes in school. You know what I'm saying? And dudes who finished school. You know what I'm saying? But I hung out with thugs and dudes who used to hustle on the streets and stuff. And my brothers used to tell me, we weren't raised like that. You going to hell, man. But anyway, I had just beat up somebody before I came upstairs and gave them the money. So anyway, I was really a fighter all my life. And so my brother had me to change back from the drinks I told him to go get. I said, man, y'all can have on and drink. Keep the change, man. And like I say, my bedroom next door to his was still open, although I wasn't living home no more with my mom. I was 20, he was 21, my brother William was 22. Okay, and like I say, my brother Nathaniel, he was a senior, and his room was downstairs, where my mom and my nephew and niece's room was at. So anyway, I laid down and I woke up the next day, and then eventually I went home to where I stayed. But anyway, that was just another experience. And then when I was 26 years, I was 20 years old then when that happened. Then when I was 26 years old, I was laying I had a studio apartment. And no, I wasn't 26 years old. I just turned 21. So this was just like maybe 6 months later or something. Maybe in the wintertime of 1985. But anyway, maybe no. As I think back, I was still 20 years old, and I had moved from where I was staying, and then I had another studio apartment, and I just waking up, and I saw two figures sitting in my apartment at the foot of my bed, and I'm coming to like this, and they saw me and heard me moving, and they looked back like this, and then they just disappeared. It was just like two grown men. They didn't have no ugly faces, and then it was just like two grown men. I said, whoa. Another time I experienced something in that same apartment building. Now, I was waking up out of my bed, and somebody was sitting on my bed. Somebody was sitting on my bed, and I thought it was one of my partners. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to have a lot of partners over sometime, and I'm waking up, And, I had been drinking earlier, and then I see somebody sitting on my bed, and he had a smile, and looked like he had a full beard. I said, "What's up, man?" And we slapped five like this. And then I got on up out the bed. I was fully dressed, you know what I'm saying? Slipped on my ballies and went down the hallway at one of my partner's crib. And he let me in. I said, "Man, did you just leave the crib, Curtis?" He said, "No, dog, I ain't been down to your place, not today." I said, "Man, I could have sworn I just slapped five, 'cause I could still feel, the handshake." And I said, "Man, somebody in my crib, man." He said, "It wasn't me, dog," And so I went back down to my crib down the hallway and wasn't nobody in there. So I'm just saying all that to say, family, I had experienced spirits before my life in Yah. And then when I became a believer, I got called to the ministry, and I started reading material, higher learning books other than the 66, and I started learning where these things come from. But those ones that I saw, they weren't giants. But also, family, it says in the book of Revelation that Satan and 1/3 of the angels that followed him were all kicked out of heaven by Michael and the good angels. It was a war in heaven. And Satan and his angels that followed him, that he was able to influence, they lost. They fought, but they lost to Michael and the good angels who didn't rebel. And they got cast down to this earth. That's what it says. They got cast down to the earth. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, for Satan has gone down with great wrath, knowing he has but a little time. So they're among us in this earth. And these evil spirits, though they are the spirits of the Nephilim giants, who were the offspring of the watcher angels and women. So now, family, but their mission is to bring down mankind. And you will see that in this message. Okay, I'll start reading at Enoch chapter 7. And it says here, "It happened after the sons of men had multiplied in those days that daughters were born to them, elegant and beautiful. And when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored of them, saying to each other, 'Come, let us select for ourselves wives from the progeny of men, and let us beget children.' Then their leader, Samyaza, said to them, 'I fear that you may perhaps be indisposed to the performance of this enterprise, and that I alone shall suffer for so grievous a crime.'" They knew it was a crime, but they chose to do it anyway. You got some people, some of them Hebrew Israelites in them camps, they don't believe that these spirits, are even in the earth. They don't believe that angels had sex with women. You can see in the Bible, Christ, Yahushua, Hamashiach said that angels don't marry. Satan wasn't supposed to rebel against Yah either, but he did. People are not supposed to sin sometimes, but people do. Those watcher angels were not supposed to come down and mingle with mankind and have sex with women, but they chose to do it. They chose to rebel against Yah, and they did it anyway, even though they knew it was a crime. I'm saying this to any of those people from the camps who may be tuning in. The only thing they read is the 66, and they follow the doctrine of the Roman Catholic Church, Catholicism. Only read 66. And we're supposed to be the children of Yah, and they following the doctrine of Roman Catholics. Go figure. Anyhow, and that I alone shall suffer for so grievous a crime. But they answered him and said, "We all swear and bind ourselves by mutual execrations that we will not change our intention, but execute our projection undertaking." That mutual execration, that's that they bound themselves by a curse to go do what they had in their minds to do, to join themselves with the women and marry and have offspring. Then they swore at all together and all around themselves by mutual execrations. The whole number was 200 who descended upon, it says, Ardis, which is the top of Mount Armin, which is also called Mount Harmon. And part of it is in the state of Israel, and part of it is in Syria. So the state of Israel owns part of it, and Syria owns the other part. And this is the mountain that they came down, these 200 angels. Okay, the mountain therefore was called Armin, because they had sworn upon it and bound themselves by mutual execrations. Mount Harmon derives its name from the Hebrew word harim, a curse. These are the names of their chief: Semyaza, who was their leader, Arakabarat, Mil, Akibiel, Tamiel, Ramuel, Daniel, Axiel, Akil, Semrankyal, Azar, Amers, Batral, okay, Anan, Zebabi, Sanzaville, Trail, Turel, Yamyel, Arazil. These are the perfects of the 200 angels, and the remainder were all with them. Okay, move right along, family. I'll butcher some of those names, but anyhow. Then they took wives, each choosing for himself whom they begat to approach, and with whom they cohabited, teaching them sorcery, incantations, and the dividing of roots and trees. And the women conceiving brought forth giants, whose stature was each 300 cubits. These devoured all which the labor of men produced, until it became impossible to feed them. So this was the nature of these giants. Eating up everybody's livestock, eating up everybody's animals, then they started eating people. So people were terrified in the world, okay? Well, they turned themselves against men in order to devour them, and began to injure birds, beasts, reptiles, fishes, to eat their flesh one after another, and to drink their blood. They was really wicked. Can you imagine eating raw whole animals, eating them alive like lions and hyenas do? These giants was like just ferocious and disgusting, and their nature is still the same as spirits in this world. Okay? Moreover, Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, the fabrication of mirrors, and the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, the use of paint, the beautifying of the eyebrows, the use of stones of every valuable and select kind, and all sorts of dyes, so that the world became altered. Impiety increased, fornication multiplied, and they transgressed and corrupted all their ways. Amamzorak taught all the sorcerers and dividers of roots. Amers taught the solution or sorcery. Barkayal taught the observers of the stars. Observers of the stars, astrologies. Akibil taught signs. Tamil taught astronomy. And Azur Radel taught the motion of the moon. And men being destroyed cried out, and their voices reached to heaven. Then Michael and Gabriel, Raphael, Suriel, and Uriel looked down from the heaven and saw the quantity of blood which was shed upon the earth, and all the iniquity which was done upon it, and said one to another, it is the voice of their cries. Okay, the earth, deprived of her children, has cried even to the gate of heaven. And now to you, O you Holy One of heaven, they talking to our Father, the souls of men complain, saying, obtain justice for us with the Most High. Then they said to the Adonai, the King, you are Adonai of Adonais, Elohim of Elohims, King of Kings. The throne of your glory is forever and ever. And forever and ever is your name sanctified and glorified. You are blessed and glorified. You have made all things. You possess power over all things, and all things are open and manifested before you. You behold all things, and nothing can be concealed from you. You have seen what Azazel has done, how he has taught every species of iniquity upon earth, and has disclosed to the world all these secret things which are not done in the heavens. Samyazel also has taught sorcery, to whom you have given authority over those who are associated with him. They have gone together to the daughters of men, have lain with them, have become polluted, and have discovered crimes to them. The women likewise have brought forth giants. Thus has the whole earth been filled with blood and with iniquity. And now behold, the souls of those who are dead cry out and complain even to the gates of heaven. Their groaning ascends, nor can they escape from the unrighteousness which is committed upon the earth. You know all things before they exist. You know these things, and what has been done by them, yet you do not speak to us. What on account of these things ought we to do to them? So these angels, the good angels, talking to Yah and saying these things, but Yah already know. He's already looking at it all the time. There's nothing hidden from him. He's looking at it all the time. So the angels spoke to him and asked him, what would you have us do? Okay, then the Most High, the great and holy one, spoke and sent Arzayelayor to the son of Lamech. Saying, say to him in my name, conceal yourself. Then explain to him the consummation which is about to take place. For all the earth shall perish. The waters of the deluge shall come over the whole earth, and all things which are in it shall be destroyed. See, these giants and these fallen watcher angels, they corrupted all of mankind. Like I said, people was fornicating more, people was killing, and everybody had the nature of these spirits, these fallen angels, and these giants. It was a dog-eat-dog world. And they had crossbreeded all Yah's animals and creatures that was not even meant to be born or walking in the earth, because of they crossbreeding these animals, so everything Yah had created was messed up because of these watching angels and their offspring, these giants. It was hundreds of thousands of these giants all over the earth where people were in those days. Everywhere people lived in those days, those giants was among them, ruling societies. Scripture calls them the men of renown. They were so huge, and they thought, we run things, and there was no law for them. And so they think like, we so big, we can destroy anything. They were so strong, they could uproot big trees out of the ground. And, they was, but nothing was too big for our Father, okay? As I continue, Mishpachah, again, the Most High said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, cast him into darkness, and opening the desert which is in Dudel, cast him there. Throw upon him hurl and pointed stones, cover him with darkness. Cover him with darkness, okay? There shall he remain forever. Cover his face that he may not see the light. And in the great day of judgment, let him be cast into the fire. See, that's their destination for those fallen watching angels that came down and had sex with women. Offspring became Nephilim. That's also the destination of the spirits of those giants. But the angels that came down, the 200, they are all bound in the earth right now with chains, and Yah told the angels to throw rocks over them so they cannot see the light. So they are still bound until the day of judgment. But as far as the offspring of these giants, now 90% of them Yah sent down to Sheol. They're in hell, but they're not being tormented yet. They're tormenting souls. Souls that rebelled against Yah. That's where 90% of the spirits of those giants are. Tormenting souls. Souls that live without Yah, okay? And they had a chance to live on the surface of the earth. But 10% of the spirits of those giants are on the surface of the earth, causing trouble with men and women. But they're not being accused of it. Okay? As I continue, all the earth has been corrupted by the effects of the teaching of Azazel. To him, therefore, ascribe the whole crime. To Gabriel also the Most High said, go to the biters, to the reprobates, to the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication, the offspring of the watchers from among men. Bring them forth and excite them one against another. Let them perish by mutual slaughter, for length of days shall not be theirs. See, this is one kind of method that Yah used against his enemies. He told Gabriel to excite them one against another. And then the giants started focusing on each other. And eventually they started fighting each other to the death, killing each other. Okay? They might have been eating each other too, but they started killing each other. That's what brought them down. But this was Yah. He's in control of all spirits. And he's in control of evil spirits. Okay? And he's using them against Psalm 83 now. They were against us for a time when we was in the curses. They were against us for a time. But our curses has ended. Now Yah is using those spirits against Psalm 83. And it says in the scriptures in the book of Revelation, and they gathered them together. The they are those spirits. And they gathered them together in that area called Armageddon. But right now they're fighting over there around the Persian Gulf and the state of Israel, Hezbollah, Iran, the U.S., around that region where the oil and stuff is at. The Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz. And about that, the United States was talking about, Trump was talking about taking that little island. It's a little island, Ms. Bakar, inside of the Persian Gulf. It's a little island inside the Persian Gulf where they got an oil base. Iran has an oil base there. And Trump was saying they was thinking about taking it over. Persian Gulf area with the Strait of Hormuz. I'm trying to bring up an image. Okay, maybe this one there. Kabul, I think that's the name of it. I can't see. Now see, this area right here, the Strait of Hormuz, that area right there, the narrowest part of the Persian Gulf. But the island America is talking about taking over. Too much light. It's way up here. That's about 300 miles away from the Persian Gulf down there. So Iran has blocked this area off the Persian Gulf, you know. So America, why would they try to take an island up here? You know, it's oil refineries and stuff on it. But why would they try to take that? And Iran has got the Persian Gulf, this area, the Strait of Hormuz, blocked off. If they take over the oil up here, America, if they do that, they ain't going to be able to get no vessels out of here because they ain't dealt with Iran about that yet. And if they do try to put boots on the ground and overtake the Strait of Hormuz right here, they'll never be able to leave. They was just trying to make that their home because if they ever leave, Iran going to block it again. So if they sending troops down there by the thousands, America is. And I mean, it'd be expecting to lose many casualties because Iran will not negotiate with America and the state of Israel again because that's what they was trying to do before the war got started. These people are lunatics. That's all they think is killing and bullying people and making people you know, uh, conform to their will and their desires, the state of Israel and America. So Iran don't want to hear no more negotiation. For right now, they don't. And so ain't no sense in trying to take over that little island up there in the Persian Gulf, which is 300 miles or so from the Strait of Hormuz going south. When that, I mean, how you going to get stuff out of there? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. They'll be sending ducks to all the missiles that Iran have along the shores of the Persian Gulf. They'll be sending ducks if they try to take over that oil refinery. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a mess. It is a mess. But Yah is in control of the spirits that are moving the leaders in these worlds to fight against each other. Divide. Psalm 83. This is how he destroyed the giants. He sent Gabriel to excite their minds against one another. And they eventually fought to the death, all of them. Okay? And that's what Yah is doing. He's using Psalm 83 against each other. Why Israelites worldwide are taking the chill pill. We on chill mode. And this is also Yah's will. Okay. Mr. Picard, as I continue. Okay. They shall all entreat you, but their fathers shall not obtain their wishes respecting them, for they shall hope for eternal life, and that they may live each of them 500 years. Those giants, Yah allowed them to live each 500 years. Okay, now to Michael, likewise, the Most High said, go and announce his crime to Semyaza and to the others who are with him, who have been associated with women, that they might be polluted with all their impurity. And when all their sons shall be slain, when they shall see the perdition of their beloved, bind them for 70 generations underneath the earth, even to the day of judgment and of consummation until the judgment, the effect of which will last forever, be completed. They ain't gonna never get out. Once judgment comes, and he's gonna tell his angels to go get those watcher angels and throw them in fire that's so hot. Woo! And they're gonna be there forever. Forever. They were not forgiven. They corrupted mankind to this day because of what they did. Those angels that came down and had sex with women, that was before the flood. That was before the flood. And we are still dealing with the causes of what they did way back then, because we're dealing with the spirits of those watcher angels and women, the Nephilim giants. We're still dealing with them, Miss Baka. To this day. That's why there's so much wickedness in the world, because they're influencing people in their minds. And people are walking contrary to the words of our Father. And we must not walk in hate toward our brothers and sisters. It says in the book of 1 Yohanan, chapter 2, verse 11, those who hate their brothers that are walking in darkness and don't know where they're going. And if that's anybody that's trying to act like they don't love their brothers and sisters in this truth, Yah will send evil spirits toward them till they repent and walk. We gotta walk in love toward each other. This is what Yah wants, And sometimes He allow them to come around us just for a test, like He did Abraham. There was the chief leader of the Nephilim giants. His name is Mastema. And he spoke to her father and told him that it was only because, he said, if you put Abraham to kill his son Isaac, he won't do it because he loved him more than he loved you, or something like that. And this is when Yahweh told Abraham to go do this, but Isaac, he was all with it. He said, if this is what Yah wants you to do, I'm willing to be that sacrifice on the altar for our father. You know what I'm saying? But Mastema, the spirit of the giant, put him up to it to test Abraham. It wasn't Yah wanting to do that to Abraham, but he knew Abraham loved him so much, and he would have did it. But he had an angel right there that stopped him, and it was a ram in the thicket. Horns was caught, and that ram was sacrificed instead of Isaac. But like when Job was the richest man in the East and during his time, and Satan was among the sons of God in heaven talking to the Father, because he wanted, he said, the only reason why Job is serving you like he's doing, because you got this hedge of protection around him, and you move the hedge of protection and let me do some things to him. I bet he'll curse it to your face. So evil spirits and Satan, they can't do nothing to us unless they get permission from Yah. And they can only do so much. They don't have the liberty to just take us out. But people who living in wickedness and won't ever come out of it, the scripture says that Satan go before Yah day and night complaining, accusing us before Yah day and night when we're not walking in obedience to his word. And if somebody's just on that path of disobedience and won't turn off of it, Satan is telling Yah, you can't allow them to continue to live like that. They're walking in contrary to your word. They're not keeping your word. They're being disobedient. And sometimes Yah will let those spirits and Satan have their way with certain people who have strayed away from Yah. I'm talking about even his own people. Some of our people died real young. And it's a shame. But for us who follow Yah and walk in obedience to his word, keep his commandments, and the Sabbath day holy, walk in love to the Mishpachah, evil spirits might try to intimidate us, because they mad, but they can't touch us. So there's no need for us to fear them at all, especially when we're walking in the truth. So don't let no evil spirit fear you at all. They might not like that I'm teaching y'all this message, but ask me how much I can. I fear Yahuwah Elohim Almighty. Okay? And him only do I fear. Mishpachah. Okay? All right now. As I continue. Then shall they be taken away into the lowest depths of the fire, in torments, and in confinement shall they be shut up forever. The word of Yah tells you their future. We know their future. So they can try to perpetrate and intimidate all they want. I just laugh at them. You know what I'm saying? Because I know their future. Now, our future with Yah is going to be in paradise forever. But evil spirits, they are doomed. Satan and fallen angels and evil spirits, their destination is eternal hellfire forever. And the people that they influence, the puppets who allow themselves to be used by evil spirits that hate Yah's chosen people, they're going to be burning in fire and brimstone right along with evil spirits and Satan. All those who mess with our numbers and mess with our channels and stuff like that, try to harass us and annoy us because the word we speak together with our Ruach HaKodesh mother and our father and our big brother, Yahushua HaMashiach, evil spirits hate it. The people of this world, Psalm 83, they hate it. It's them. They hate when we get together because the wicked souls that are being cut by the word of truth that we speak. They hate truth. They love lies. That's why they mess with our numbers and our channels and stuff like that, family. They can't bring nothing to debunk the truth we're speaking. So they try to do little petty, annoying stuff to mess with us. Like, that's all it is. Don't let it even get to you. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, they on the YouTube Studio app, they hit my subscriber count. I just deleted. I just uninstalled the app on both of my phones. Don't even have that Studio app no more. I'll get it again later, but just to let them know, you ain't bothering me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to teach this word as long as Yah allow me with breath in my body. Even if they shut my channel down, I'm going to go back to being in the community like I was doing before I even knew anything about social media. Until my last breath. That's how much I care about them trying to meddle and stuff. They're annoying, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like mosquitoes, and trying to get your blood. or flies bothering you constantly in the summertime. They just won't leave you alone. It's annoying, you know what I'm saying? But they can't kill you though. Okay. So anyway, family, moving right along. Let every oppressor perish from the face of the earth. Let every evil work be destroyed. They are the oppressors. Let every evil work of the oppressors be destroyed. Let every oppressor perish from the face of the earth, are the words of Yah. Let every evil work be destroyed. Righteousness and rectitude shall be forever planted with delight. And then shall all of the saints give thanks and live until they have begotten 1,000 children. This is he speaking to us right here. While the whole period of their youth and their Sabbaths shall be completed in peace. In those days all the earth shall be cultivated in righteousness. It shall be wholly planted with trees and filled with benedictions. Every tree of delight shall be planted in it. See, that's when Yah purify the earth, and then Yahushua Mashiach's kingdom is in the earth. It's going to be beauty and peace forever for us, family. Well, Miss Bakar will never have to worry about being harassed and persecuted by those who oppress us now at all, because they're going to be on our feet. Most of them going to be dead. And a lot of their offspring is going to be serving Jacob in Yahushua Mashiach's kingdom. As I continue, family, purify the earth from all oppression, from all injustice, from all crime, from all impiety, from all the pollution which is committed upon it. Exterminate them from the earth. Then shall all the children of men be righteous, and all nations shall pay me divine honors and bless me, and all shall adore me. The earth shall be cleansed from all corruption, from every crime, from all punishment, and from all suffering. Neither will I again send a deluge upon it from generation to generations forever. In those days I will open the treasures of blessings which are in heaven, that I may cause them to descend upon earth and upon all the works and labor of man. Peace and equity shall associate the sons of men all the days of the world, in every generation of it. Now check it out. Now, the activities of these evil spirits, okay? Okay? It's chapter 15 right here. We're talking about the origin of evil spirits, their nature, and their mission. The mission is to come against the children of Yah. Come against mankind, period. But especially against the chosen people of Yah. You see that, Miss Bakar, because we get more hate in this world than any people. So Satan and he's the leader of those evil spirits. So they do his deeds of wickedness and come against Yah's chosen people. Okay, so we get the most hatred in this wicked world. Satan's kingdom being led by Esau in Psalm 83. So the deck is really stacked up against us. But we are still here and we're still multiplying. This is Yah's, will, okay? That they can't override him. You know what I'm saying? They're still under him. Our Father is still on his throne. Okay, Yahushua Mashiach is still right by his side, and our mother, the Ruach HaKodesh, is helping us in the earth right now. And our angels, Yah has his angels that he has placed around us. Okay, as I continue, family. Then addressing me, he spoke and said, "Hear, neither be afraid, O righteous Enoch, you scribe of righteousness. Approach hither and hear me, my voice. Go say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent you to pray for them, you ought to pray for men and not men for you. Wherefore have you forsaken the lofty and holy angels which endures forever?" See, these angels, they started feeling sorry when they started seeing the children being destroyed, the giants. They started being really shameful, and they knew they had messed up, and they couldn't even look toward heaven no more. They were so ashamed. These 200 angels, they walk around like this and begging Enoch to go pray to Father Elohim for them and see if he will forgive them and let them come back to heaven. After they done messed up for centuries, all his creation, all the animals, these offspring killing people, eating people, and they want to be forgiven and go back? After they done defiled themselves in this world, not a chance. I'd have told him before I went to the yard. I'm going to tell you right now, he going to say no. But anyway, okay. Wherefore have you forsaken the lofty and holy heaven, which endures forever, and have lain with women, have defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, have taken to yourselves wives, have acted like the sons of the earth, and have begotten an impious offspring, you being spiritual, holy, and possessing a life which is eternal, have polluted yourselves with women, have begotten in carnal blood, have lusted in the blood of men, and have done as those who are flesh and blood do. These, however, die and perish. Therefore have I given to them wives, that they might cohabit with them, that sons might be born of them, and that this might be transacted upon the earth. Yah gave men to women and women to men. Okay? Not no spirits. But you from the beginning were made spiritual, possessing a life which is eternal and not subject to death forever. They gave it all up for stupidity. Therefore I made not wise for you, because being spiritual, your dwelling is in heaven. They jacked it off. They chose to come out of heaven. They would have been up there forever with the rest of the angels. Our ancestors, they were up there. When Michael and them and all of them, Gabriel and them, they was brothers. You know what I'm saying? Yah gives all of his angels missions. They all have missions. You know what I'm saying? And they love serving Yah. But these 200, that's why if you're weak, if your flesh is weak to something, but they were spirit, but still it didn't matter. If you know you're weak to something, and they don't keep staring at it. It says it in the Apocrypha. You got to turn away from stuff. Like King David was watching Bathsheba bathe and stuff, and see lust entered his heart because of what his eyes saw. He started coveting. When you start doing that, you breaking Yah's 10 commandments. It says, thou shalt not covet. That's having desires of things that belong to somebody else. He was coveting Bathsheba, who was Uriah's wife. He didn't take his eyes off of her. And then lust came in. It could happen to anybody. That's why I say I don't play with flesh. That's why I'm not on Facebook. Because I'm being true to myself. I've been off of there for years. But being on there, you know what I'm saying? And I don't have a wife. I still love the opposite sex, man. It's like you ain't even got to befriend nobody, but they got these videos. It just come up in your feed automatically. These women were beautiful with skimpy clothes on and stuff. Man, you know what? Healthy in the right places. Man, I can't keep on watching stuff like that and I ain't got no woman, no wife. I'm like, no, I know how weak flesh is. Don't even play with it. The scripture says, Joseph, when Potiphar's wife kept after him, he says he ran. Scripture says he ran from her. He ran from her. And scripture says, run from fornication. Don't try to stand up to it and see how strong you are, because flesh is weak. You got to be honest with yourself. I'm telling you, I know my flesh is weak. That's why I don't tempt myself with keep watching stuff that I know I'm weak to. I turn away from it. And by David not turning away from Bathsheba, his whole generation got cursed. Y'all forgave him, of course. But still, there are consequences for sins. Like these angels had to pay. Burning in fire for all eternity. And David, because of what he had Uriah killed and took his wife, and Yah told him, this is all he had. You took her. And the prophet Nathan, I think was Yah sent to David to tell him, and he forgave him. David cried for and repented and fasted for a week without eating. But that baby that he had with Bathsheba died. I said this child will not live. So that child died, but they eventually got married, and him and Bathsheba had Solomon. Okay, but because David allowed that lust to get into his, to get into him, Yah told him this curse will never leave your family. And King David was a part of the Yehuda tribe. He said this curse will not leave your family. And look what his son Solomon ended up doing, having 700 wives, 300 concubines. That's unnatural. That's lust. That's spirits involved with all that. If you're a man, you gotta have that many women. Or if you're a woman, you gotta have so many men. You're dealing with spirits. You're dealing with spirits, and they are insatiable. And then you see David's son, I think his oldest son from another marriage, ended up raping his half sister. Tamar, I think her name was. He just had to have her. You see, because of what he did by taking Uriah's wife, Yah said your whole seed will be cursed from now all the way up to the day of judgment. So some people who may be a part of the Yehuda tribe are dealing with lustful spirits because of way back then what David did. Yah will forgive us for sins, but there are still consequences. Like the Gentiles going to have to pay Psalm 83 for what they have done to Yah's chosen people. Slavery for all those centuries, and kidnap, rape, robbing us. We was under the curses for a spell. But if you read in the book of Enoch, you get around to chapter 89 and up in there and 90s and stuff, it talks about the 70 shepherds who are the nations, and Israel is described as the sheep, and how they had their way with the sheep. And then they killed way more of us than Yah gave them authorization to do so. They stole all our land and everything. They got to pay for that. It don't matter if they apologize or not. What they did can't be undone. And they have not tried to make us whole at all. They're just talking about reparations and we know what we did was bad. But they ain't trying to do nothing to make us whole. No gifts at all. Just apologies, word of mouth. That don't get it. That don't get it. Judgment, retribution, and recompense is set. It's written what's going to happen to them. But they don't want to hear the truth. So they mess with our numbers and mess with our channels, and they know it. They know we're telling the truth, and they don't want to face what they got to face. Just like we had to face and suffer the punishment of our curses because of what our ancestors did. And, their offspring, the offspring of our slave masters, their offspring gonna have to suffer. Those who lead into captivity shall go into captivity. You live by the sword, you shall die by the sword. That applies to anybody. And this is how they've been living. Esau was given the sword, and that's how he's lived. Bullying countries, taking over land, taking over resources, living high on the hog. Psalm 83. But the party is over. As I continue, family. Okay, now the giants who have been born of spirits and of flesh shall be called upon earth evil spirits, and on earth shall be their habitation. Evil spirits shall proceed from their flesh, because they were created from above, from the holy watchers was their beginning and primary foundation. Evil spirits shall they be upon the earth, and the spirits of the wicked shall they be called. The habitation of the spirits of heaven shall be in heaven, but upon earth shall be the habitation of terrestrial spirits who are born on the earth. Note the many implications, regarding the progeny of evil spirits. The spirits of the giants shall be like clouds, which shall oppress, corrupt, fall, content, and bruise upon earth. They shall afflict, desire, attack, do battle, work destruction. They shall cause lamentations, cause trouble, grief, sorrows, weeping. No food shall they eat, yet do hunger. And they shall be sons, and they shall be thirsty. They shall be concealed and shall rise up against the sons of men and against women. For they come forth during the days of slaughter and destruction. And as to the death of the giants, wheresoever their spirits depart from their bodies, let their flesh, that which is perishable, be without judgment. Thus shall they perish until the day of the great consummation of the great world. A destruction shall take place of the watchers and the empires. The empires are those Nephilim giants. So at judgment time, y'all gonna send his angels to throw them all in fire and brimstone. To them, never therefore shall you obtain peace. They shall never attain peace. They're walking through the earth, tired, miserable. They're always hungry when they had a body, so they're always hungry now. They can't take it upon themselves and go somewhere in a dumpster and eat like animals do because they don't have a body. But they're always hungry and they're always thirsty and they're always tired and restless. In order for them to fulfill their tiresomeness, their hunger, their thirst, it says that they will cause trouble with men and women on the earth. So they look at people and watch us, and people living in sin that oppose the way and walking in disobedience to Yah. Evil spirits will enter people's bodies. And when you eat, they're enjoying the meal that you're eating. And when you drink, it's quenching their thirst to a degree. As long as they can stay in your body. That's why they have such an obsession to infiltrate people's bodies. Because they're trying to ease their own misery. And they all had sex when they was alive, when they had bodies. And sometimes you see people have insatiable sexual appetites. They can never get enough. The only time it happens is when they're doing it with somebody. You know what I'm saying? They might have these spirits because that is their nature. They have fornication spirits. Spirits of murmuring. When people complain all the time, you're angry all the time. So we got to stay away from envy, jealousy, anger, desires, and greed. Because all that is against Yah. But when people walk in their carnal nature all the time, evil spirits is looking to dwell in somebody. And your body is their home. So we got to keep ourselves walking in the spirit, walking in love to one another. Mr. Bakar, okay? So that's the nature of evil spirits, where they come from, and their mission. Okay, so I hope everybody who viewed this video got some understanding. So until next time, may Yah bless you, your families. Stay safe. And this has been the origin of evil spirits, their nature, and their mission. Okay, so one love and shalom.